Hello, good morning, everybody. Get myself sorted out here. Good morning. I was like, let's do a live real quick, and then my light was like, I'm gonna break. And so hopefully this is bright enough. So let me know, how's the lighting, everybody? Is the light okay? Can you see? Can you see what's going on? Love the nails. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good morning, Jennifer. Hello, G-Po. Hello. Hello, Sandra. I am for dogs. I'm also for dogs. I'm pro dogs. Looks good. Okay. Oh, great. Thank you. I tell you, I have a setup here, and it lasts me about a year. I can get about a year, 18 months out of it, and then it starts falling apart. So that's just kind of the nature of the beast. And you might say, well, why don't you get a setup that won't fall apart? And to that I say, that's a great idea. I should do that. No, nothing awful. Just a legal update. Although I can understand why you would ask that question. we got a lot of stuff going on, everybody. Going on in the world. Oh no, hello, good morning, Elise. Good morning. So my light has broken. So I have another light. I have a backup light here. Every day it's awful. Oh, it certainly feels that way. It certainly does. I have to admit. A nice setup. Yes. So, well, thank you very much. I think I deserve a nice setup. And my setup is pretty good, but it just only lasts for about 12 to 18 months. That's the only thing. That's the big thing, is that, I just have to reboot it after a period of time. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's all right. And so I have to decide whether or not I'm going to continue to do the same thing repeatedly or if I'm going to try something different. I don't know. I'll have to see. I'm uncertain at the moment how I want to do that. So let me finish getting myself sorted out here. All right, so I've got, this is this, and this is this. Here we are. There we go. We've got that. So we've got a couple updates here. Let me pull these apart. So, okay. All right, here we go. I'm a little bit off of my game, so forgive me, everyone. Well, good morning. I'm feeling okay today. I'm doing okay. Everything's made. Oh, I know. Isn't that the truth, though? Isn't that the truth? I agree. So we've got a couple of updates, some paperwork I wanted to go through with everybody that I've not been able to go through for one reason or another. And I thought, well, we'll just go ahead and go live here, and we'll try to see what we can get done. Good morning, Meme NATO. Well, we really only have, hello, J-Jack. So that's a good question. We really only have about 3 cases where we have true questions about whether or not he's following orders. So these are the 3 cases where it's questionable, but the deadlines haven't passed yet. So we don't have an official full violation of remedying his mistakes or trying to fix the problems they created. So these are the 3 cases. We do have some issues going on in the federal funding cases, though, very similar type situation. But again, we're in a gray area where we're kind of waiting because you can cure your mistakes in court. You can fix your mistakes. So, a lot of that is we're kind of waiting for that to happen. So once those deadlines pass, then we will have a better idea of how many cases and how much, contempt stuff is going on here. March 28th deadline. I'm not sure. May. Could be. I don't know exactly when each deadlines are set. We've got deadlines set in the DVD case, which just happened. That's South Sudan. We have a deadline set in the Garcia case. Of course, that's El Salvador. And then we have deadlines in the DC case, which is used to be called the JGG case, but now it's a different name. So we have deadlines in those. So we have open deadlines that have not passed yet for fixing the mistakes they made. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Valid question, though. And we also have we definitely have some federal funding questions that are still hanging out there regarding that as well. So we will have to see. Right. So the contempt piece, and that's a good point. So, I don't know when the budget bill would go into effect. I mean, I think it's, there's some time in between that and, when they sign it, if the president signs it, and then it goes into effect. So there's a deadline on that. The other thing, too, is the piece that they've included in the budget bill about contempts and so on. That's weird. That's a weird piece, and I would be incredibly surprised if it doesn't get challenged immediately first, and then second, these are judges. These are federal courts, and if anybody can figure out how to work what they need to do within the confines of the law, it's going to be federal judges. So that's the other thing too, is that this isn't open and shut situation with the language that's in the bill. There is actually a lot of ways around it and working with it. And our judges are creative. They're very creative. So I'm not overly concerned about the contempt piece in the budget bill at the moment. It's not good. It shouldn't be in the bill. The way that it's trying to hit at the protocol that they've been doing is suspicious. On the other hand, I don't think it's insurmountable, is kind of how I put it. So I would definitely say, call your people and be like, dudes, I'm tired of calling you all, but this isn't cool. So one of the big pieces with that contempt piece in the budget bill has to do with this kind of surety piece in the federal courts. And something that's a little bit unique is that there's just this understanding that surety is just set at zero. It's just kind of common practice. And so they're saying, well, you need to set it at something other than zero. So there's a question about whether or not the judges can put it at zero, or if they actually have to put a dollar amount in there. And if they have to put a dollar amount in there, what dollar amount do they have to have? Is $1 enough? Is $5 enough for surety? I mean, there's just so many questions with how this would work and be enforced that, it's just, at the very, very early stages, even if it were to pass through the Senate and be signed. So there's just a lot that would have to be done. I'm not saying it's not something to be aware of and concerned about, but it's also not something that's going to happen anytime soon. Federal money, yes. So lots of federal funding has been frozen, and that's a problem. Some of the budget doesn't go into effect until the midterms. Right. Hello, Heidi. Hello. Yes. So there's just a lot of factors going on. There's a lot of things, and for me, what I see as the most important at the moment, or what's on fire at the moment, are the cases where people are being taken out of the U.S. without due process. So that, I think, is like the biggest fire going on right now, which is the DVD situation, and then the Garcia, of course, situation. So those are probably the biggest fires. And then we can kind of track what the other things are. Like we've got hospitals that aren't getting funding. We have, teachers that aren't getting funding. We have, students not being allowed to come into Harvard, and students whose visas are being revoked. So there's just a lot. There's just a lot going on. As far as that goes. And for me, I guess because of the timing on what happens, and again, remember everybody, this whole legal world goes incredibly slow. just incredibly slow. So the point is, that particular piece of a budget bill that's not made it through the Senate yet, I'm putting it on the back burner. So that's what I'm trying to say here, is that I completely understand the concern, and rightfully so. And it's appropriate concern, and you should be concerned. But for me, in my concern stove, it's on the back burner, if that makes sense, everybody. Hello, Stacy. All right, so with that, let me go through a few things today. We've got kind of a bonus live this morning because there's just so much coming through. There's so much coming through at this point. I have no updates on the Abrego Garcia case because they are given a deadline they need to meet, and regarding the affirmative defense that they're trying to put forward on the state secrets stuff. So until we get a filing from them updating their privilege assertion, there's really not much movement there. But the judge is being very strict on deadlines, so I have no fear that it will, once it gets filed, then we'll go forward from there. Oh yeah, absolutely. 867-5309. Absolutely. I'm glad to clarify that, especially when I'm up here on a live. When you've got those questions like, what happened? I just joined this live. I wasn't here 5 minutes ago, and people are worried about it. So totally understandable, and hopefully my explanations help make it a bit more understandable for all of you. So Grand Parade. All right. Well, there you go. I love that, K. Michael. That's we love that. All right, here we go. A couple of orders, everyone, I wanted to update you on here with regards to the DVD case. So let me put a sticky note on, and I will just remind me, everybody, if I forget, but I will try to update the sticky note for each different document that we go through here. All right, so this is the DVD, and I'm going to call this the South Sudan case. All right, and then we'll just say these are documents that we've got here over the last 48 hours. All right, and then we'll just kind of keep that going. Good morning. Hello. Good morning, Kristen. Good to see you. So here we go. I did go through, ooh, youch. I've got a little bit of a cut on my finger here. I apologize for that. But I did go through the DVD situation when it went down. All right, this went down. This is a class action situation where there are a group of immigrants, and they're saying, all right, you want to deport, fine, but we want to go back to our country, our citizenship country, stay here in the U.S., but not go to some random third country that you've picked out. That third country situation's not appropriate. All right. So either back home to original country or the U.S. So this is the class action lawsuit regarding sending people to third countries. That's what the lawsuit's about. Now, word on the street and eventually filed in court was that there was a group of about 6 people who were jetted off to South Sudan. And it was pretty clumsily done, and lawyers are like, where's my client? And we know for sure one client or one person is from Vietnam. Another person is from, oh my gosh, I forgot everybody. Oh my gosh, is it Minar? Oh my goodness. Anyway, not South Sudan, okay? So that's a problem. So they're like, this isn't Myanmar. Thank you, Joe. Oh my gosh, Joe, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Myanmar, right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Yes. So anyway, we know those 2, but then again, there were several others that were part of this lawsuit that were sent to South Sudan. And in fact, one was sent just a couple of hours before he was supposed to speak with his attorney. So she had set up an appointment to call him and talk to him, and he had been shipped out just a couple of hours before that discussion had happened. Formerly Burma. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So anyway, that's the DVD case. Now, one of the things that's interesting about the DVD case, we had a preliminary injunction put into place. So the judge said, you may not remove people without meeting these factors. So we'll just say there's 7 factors. He's like, you go through these 7 factors that puts us in compliance with the treaty that we have with the UN and the rest of the world. And then go ahead, you can deport them. But you need to meet the 7 factors in order for us to be in compliance with the United Nations. All right. So what happened here, the judge had issued a preliminary injunction and then had come back and clarified that preliminary injunction. And then they had moved people to South Sudan without the 7 factors. And so then he came in and said, all right, now here's the 3rd one, and was incredibly specific, stating again, you have to have these 7 factors involved or you may not pull people out of the U.S. All right, so we already have a finding of violation of the preliminary injunction, and we have that second one that was in there as well. So they have been commanded, in order to cure their violation, they've been commanded to take those 7 factors to the people in the South Sudan and get those 7 factors taken care of. And they've got a window of time that they need to do that in. All right. So this is, again, just another example here of what they need to do in order to cure that violation that they have. So what has been filed, what was filed yesterday, is we've got a couple of declarations. And that was kind of part of it. They had to show someone with some kind of authority properly upon threat of perjury that, they knew that the new injunction order was in place and that they understood that they should not be violating it. All right, so here's one of them. And this was, again, was filed yesterday. And this is from the U.S. Department here of the HS. And this is a declaration of Acting Assistant Director Marcos Charles. All right, so he has filed this in the case. So let's take a look. It says, I am Acting Assistant Director for Field Operations at Enforcement and Removal Operations at the U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement within the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. As Acting Assistant Director, I'm responsible for oversight of 25 field office directors, ensuring all field operations are working to efficiently execute the agency mission. I began my career with the U.S. Government as a Border Patrol agent. All right, so as I go through this, I like to put important things to note, everyone. So that's a red flag. All right, let's note that here. Again, we don't know how long, but there you go. For the former Immigration Naturalization Service. Oh, thank you so much. In Texas, over time, I was promoted to Senior Border Patrol Agent. All right, here. So in a supervisory role and field operations, because I want you to think about, I put flags on there because I want you to think about 15 years ago, what our Border Patrol was like. What was going on with our Border Patrol in Texas about 15 years ago? Because apparently this guy was a piece of that. So I joined ICE in 2008. Oh, 15 years ago. See, look at that. I almost nailed it. As the assistant officer in charge, over time I was promoted to supervisory detention and deportation officer, assistant field office director, chief of staff, deputy field officer director, field office director, before becoming the acting assistant director. Great. I provide this declaration based off of personal knowledge, reasonable inquiry, and information obtained from various records, systems, databases, other DHS employees, and information portals maintained by DHS. All right. So about half of this is hearsay, but if I needed to use it in court, there would be some exceptions I could use. All right. So yes, hearsay, but it may be allowable in court. So we just kind of set it out here. He says 2008. Yeah, it's backwards. I agree. This person is a native and citizen of Burma. I thought we decided it was Myanmar. All right. Well, is it Myanmar? When did it change to Myanmar? This is gonna bug me the whole time. All right. So, oh my gosh. Okay. So it is okay. It's Myanmar. Well, when did it get changed? New name. New name. Okay. When was the name change? Can I just ask that, everybody? I'm curious about that. For some reason, this is really. Oh, thank you so much, Swish. I appreciate that. Come from you. That's quite the compliment. I am very thankful for that. Years ago. Yeah, 5 years. All right. The reason I bring this up is because if this dude's like in charge of all this stuff, shouldn't he know the names of the country properly? Right? 1989. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, whatever. All right. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Moving on. Native and citizen of Burma, Myanmar, who entered the United States on or about August 10th of 2016, on or about September 22nd of 2020, was convicted in the District Court of Lancaster County, Nebraska, for the offense of attempted SA. Again, I need to watch my language over here. In the first degree in violation of a Nebraska statute, and was sentenced from 12 to 14 years in prison. Wow, that's... All right, little inside note here, everybody. If you actually get sentenced to 12 to 14 years for an SA, there are a couple of things going on. First of all, that's basically unheard of. Second, it must have been a pretty awful situation. This is going to be probably one of the worst SA situations that you can think of to get this kind of a sentence here. So keep that in mind. This was probably one of a really, really bad situation. I don't have his criminal history, but just based off of the sentence here. All right. So 12 to 14 years in prison based on criminal complaint alleging he, again, had some SA situations going on. And he knew the victim was mentally or physically incapable of resisting or appraising the nature of the conduct. All right, so we can see now. This is pretty bad. So this conviction's really bad, everybody, for this fella. Just keep that in mind. Again, it doesn't matter how bad your conviction is because you know what? Guess what? Everybody gets due process. So that's still a thing. So this person was ordered removed by an immigration judge in Omaha, Nebraska on August 17th of 2023. All right. And he waived appeal, rendering the removal order administratively final. Okay, so he had an order of removal. Let's just make sure we know. So the offense took place in 2020. Hold on a second here. Okay, he was convicted in 2020. So he had done about 3 years prison, and then they said he needed to be removed. All right. So 3 of 12 to 14 years, all right, was selected for removal to South Sudan on the flight at issue due to his egregious criminal history. And I agree, it's egregious. I mean, this is, again, one of the top worst crimes, and especially with that kind of a sentence in an SA case. I mean, quite frankly, everybody, to be perfectly honest, you're lucky if you're going to get a 5-year out of that, and that they'll serve maybe 2.5 of that 5. So this is huge. This is a huge sentence. So very bad situation. Egregious criminal history, and the fact that Burma has historically been recalcitrant in the acceptance of the return of its nationals. All right, so we've got 2 pieces here. We've got a really bad criminal history, why they picked him, and then also apparently to get back at Burma because they're not taking people, or Myanmar, all right? They're not taking people back when they're supposed to. So it's 2 pieces. 1, you're bad, and 2, your home country isn't following what we want them to do, all right? So that's the rationale for this fella here. Upon further investigation and contact from that person's counsel, it was realized that person was in fact in possession of a travel document to Burma. All right. Again, we have no proof of that. Thereafter, it was decided he would instead be removed to Burma. So, wait, I'm confused. So, is he in South Sudan or is he in Burma? Where's this fella? Let's take a peek back here again. Let's go back. All right, there's your history, blah, 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 declaration, right, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, where is he? I'm wondering. Here we go. A native of the citizen of Burma, right. Conviction, 2020, Nebraska. Violation, sentenced, right. Ordered removed by an immigration judge in 2023. Criminal history was bad. The country should step up and do more. It was realized, so after further investigation, and this is like, well, when was that? Was that when they, called in and said, where's the person? It was realized that was in fact in possession of a travel document. Thereafter, it was decided he would instead be removed to Burma. So is he in Burma or is he in South Sudan? Where is this guy? Where's this fella at? Like, this isn't someone that you want to just be like, well, he's just not here. I mean, you should probably know where he's at. He's in Sudan. Okay. It says South Sudan in number 6. All right, let's go back. Sorry, everybody. This is why I'm so thankful to have so many eyes here. All right, here we go. Was selected for removal to South Sudan on the flight at issue. All right, I got you now. Let's put that in a different color so I can pull that out quicker. There we go. All right, I got it. Thank you so much. So he's in Sudan. He had travel documents to Burma. So I got lots of questions for this. All right, I got lots of questions. If he's in South Sudan, which is what this fella's saying, and again, there's more information we can go through here, but here's some questions I have. Number 1, was he in prison? Because he should have been in prison, right, for 12 to 14 years. Or was he in detention for removal? That's not the same thing, right? So this is a criminal case with criminal rules. And then detention, this is civil administrative, which is different. So if he's got a 12 to 14 year prison sentence, he should be in prison until he's removed, and then removal should be done. No, the victim of his crime was mentally right. It's awful, VC. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, I'm gonna say it right here. It sounds like he's a very bad man, and should. That's why it's like, dude, you got to do this right, so we don't have to deal with him again. All right, so again, because a lot of these detention centers are also prisons, right? So let's make sure. Where was he? Again, here, let's make sure we know. Right, we don't know where his prison, because again, if he's 2020 conviction, he should have had about 3 years already that he was in prison. So where was he in prison? It looks like he waived appeal. All right, so he was in prison in Nebraska. All right. And then they shipped him to Massachusetts, or maybe not Massachusetts, but he's part of this group. Again, it's confusing. ICE took him in 2023. All right, let's go back. You're right. Look at that. I even highlighted it. He was ordered removed by an immigration judge. So he left Nebraska in 2023. So 2020 convicted, 2023. And, so apparently 2024, he was still in ICE custody. Is that what we're thinking here? How would he have been traveling? Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. He sent in 2020, got probation. Oh, he got probation now. There you go. That makes more sense, quite frankly. Because for you to actually have 12 to 14 years in prison on an SA case is almost unheard of. So, right, of course he got probation because that's how our system works. All right, so he was out and about. So he wasn't actually in prison like he should have been. All right. That's a great question, June Marie. All right. So, oh my gosh, let's take a moment. Let's take a moment so that the spots go away. The rage spots of being put on probation for a crime this awful. Yeah, and Navy vets, it happens. Again, this huge of a sentence for SA is just very unusual. All right, all right. So he's out and about, apparently doing whatever he wants for 3 years, and then somehow it gets through the system. And then ICE is like, well, we'll take that one in 2023. And then apparently was in detention with them. Or was he just out and about and reporting back to ICE? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know where he has been that has put him into this facility. All right, so facility, and this was Texas, if I remember correctly. All right, so here we go. Now, explain to me if he has been in custody with ICE since 2023 and he's got travel papers back to his country of citizenship. All right, so his country of citizenship apparently here is the Burma, Myanmar. And he had, and again, right here, it says, after talking with his counsel for this case, which counsel? For his criminal case? For his immigration case? Like what? It was realized he was in possession. And how do we know that, right? Again, we don't have due process, and it's so easy to do this due process, everybody. For goodness sake, it is so easy to do the 7 factors if these people are in custody. If this fella's in custody, you've got a clipboard with 7 questions. Go ask him, fill it out, file it. Somebody needs to read it, and then you're done. Next step. That's it. That's all you had to do. But that was not done. He had been paroled, not probation. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, so, it's good to know, but it also is, like, he didn't even put, half of the time in, 1/3 of the time, so I guess that's about right. All right, here we go. Yeah, there's, right. So, a couple things when we're dealing with essays, right? Age matters, and your ability to actually consent matters. So if there's intoxicating liqueurs involved or some kind of, other disability that makes it so that you're unable to consent, that's like a big deal. So a couple of roads for that. Again, 12 to 14 years is huge. All right, so the bottom line is this person apparently had documents somehow to go back to Burma, but instead was shipped over to South Sudan without his 7 factors. All right, so that's pretty crappy. Right. Now, again, I think this is actually really a great way of really showing what we're dealing with here, all right? Because a lot of people are saying, well, if they're bad people, who cares where they go? And you can feel that way, absolutely. But the Constitution doesn't care if you're a good person or you're a bad person. The Constitution doesn't care. It says what it says, right? We have rules that have to be followed, even if you're a bad person. And one of the ways that I try to remind everybody about that is the Miranda case itself. Right? The Miranda warnings. So Miranda v. Arizona, that was decided by the U.S. Supreme Court, and it set out the Miranda warnings, right? Everybody knows the Miranda warnings. You have the right to remain silent, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to trigger the algorithm here. But the Miranda warnings came out of the Miranda versus Arizona case. Many do not know, but Mr. Miranda was not a good person. This guy was a bad man. He was a very bad man, and he had been taken into custody for kidnapping and essaying a young woman. All right. So bad man. Now the evidence, his confession was tossed out because Miranda warnings, right? but they still took him to trial because you don't have to just have a confession. There's lots of other evidence that can be used in trial. All right. So keep that in mind as we go through. We're not talking about good people, bad people. We're talking about the Constitution and, using it or not using it. That's what we're talking about. There's a movie about it? Really? Okay. Oh, thanks, Nani. So let's keep that in mind. Right. So this person sounds like a pretty bad person. Now, again, this is just the understanding of this person here, Mr. Carlos or Director Carlos. I'm sorry, Charles. I mixed Marcos and Charles together. Okay, parole. Okay. Got it. Thanks, VC. Excellent. Not the same as Abrego. Well, right. And you know what, too, everyone, with the Abrego case, something to keep in mind. If Abrego does come back and there is due process and information is put out there that he has, he is a bad person, which could happen. I mean, a bad person in that he's somehow violated some criminal laws. Still, it doesn't matter. The point is, you still got to follow the Constitution. Yes, Rusty, good point. And lots of people have tried to overturn Miranda. And actually, just a couple years ago, we had another Miranda case in front of the Supreme Court, and we were all kind of holding our breath with this Supreme Court, and we're like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do? But it still has held. Really? Oh my gosh, VC. Right. Why wasn't it a condition of parole deportation? That's a great question too. That's an excellent question. Why wasn't that part of the parole? And maybe it was. But this is what is also something that frustrates the heck out of me, is that because these dingleberries, because these people effed up their job, right? If they had done their job, then we would have had someone who should have been gone. But they didn't do their job. They screwed up, right? This would be the perfect situation where they could say to the American people, like, well, this was a bad person. We didn't want them in the country anymore. They needed to go. We just fast-tracked it. Sure, but follow the rules. But you didn't follow the rules. And so now we got to spend all this time and energy to try to undo the problems that you made on this, jerk person. Like that's frustrating. So that's a government problem, right? So that's what we're keeping in mind. It really is a heck of a lot of money. All right, so here we go. Now he's not the only person. And who knows, there's 6 total. Each one of them could be just a really awful person. But if the cops screw up something for a really awful person, like Miranda, you still, you got to pay the piper. Right. You got to pay the piper. So, all right, here we go. Now, we have defendant's response to court's May 21st orders here. So that's what just had come out. We just have a paragraph. May 21st of 2025, the court ordered defendants to submit several declarations to identify the aliens on the plane that was subject to the court's inquiries during the May 20th and 21st hearings. Pursuant to the court's orders, defendants submit 2 attached declarations responding to that, and the court's request that the defendants identify the aliens on the plane. Defendants are working diligently to respond to the court's order regarding NM. All right, so NM, and then there was another one that were actually named in the plaintiff's petition here. Aliens on a plane. I know. It's like dark. Oh, I know. All right, so that's their response. So let's take a look here at a few more declarations. I'm going to try to not hulk out here over the fact that the government screwed this up. And now we all have to deal with it. All right, here we go. Is this the same one? Let me just double check. Is this the one that I just read? That was 124. This is 124. No, this is a new one. All right, here we go. Same dude, different people. All right, let's see how they screwed this one up. I'm acting assistant director of field operations at enforcement, blah, 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 ERO at the ICE within the DHS. As acting assistant director, I'm responsible for oversight of 25 ERO offices, right? Field operations. Career was started as a border agent, former Immigration Naturalization Service in the Texas, over time promoted again here, good for you, to all of these different positions, right? Joined the ICE in 2008 as an assistant officer in charge, promoted, blah, blah, blah. So this is the history again. Here, next, I provide this declaration based off of my personal knowledge, reasonable inquiry, and so on. Now, we've talked about this in the past declaration I just did. Quite a bit of this would be seen as hearsay, but we could still get those statements into court if I was doing a direct examination by just simply setting out the exceptions to hearsay. All right, so we need to have some kind of personal knowledge, and I think that's Rule 701, I think. And any of the hearsay exceptions are going to be listed under 804. So if you're wondering about the rules of evidence, all right, so we could still get his testimony in. So again, I'm just trying to say the information that he's using to file this, all right? So you can decide for yourself how you feel about it. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, here we go. Next, pursuant to the court's inquiries on the individuals, here I submit this declaration to inform the court of the identities and serious criminal histories of the 7, I thought there were 7 aliens at issue in the litigation on the plane. All right, so EAH. I have personally reviewed the case of EAH. Uh-oh, that's not going to be good for EAH. All right, that's not going to be good for him. Native and citizen of Cuba. Again, this is not South Sudan, just so that we all are aware of that. On May 11th of 1999, which would have been the late 1900s, let us remember, was convicted in the 11th Circuit Court in Florida for robbery, which again is one of the worst crimes you can be charged with, forcible felony, in violation of a Florida law, a robbery using a weapon here in violation of Florida statutes. And this was in 1999. So I think now the law's changed, but attempted armed robbery and attempted second degree homicide. I gotta be careful with my language here. Let's just flag out the crimes, all right? Here we go. That's a crime. That's a crime. That's a pretty big crime. Unlawful possession of a convicted felon. How did he got convicted, but why wasn't he deported earlier? All right, lots of questions. We'll get to it. Here we go. Another crime. Wow, this guy sounds like a peach too. All right, so here's his crimes. What do we have? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 crimes, 5 major felony crimes. I mean, this is pretty much as bad as you can get. As a result of the convictions, was sentenced to 4 years in prison. That tracks. 4 years in prison for 5 forcible felonies. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. All right. On September 13th, was ordered removed to Cuba by an immigration judge. All right, let's make sure we get our dates straight here. All right, so removed to the Cuba. Did not file an appeal. His removal order became administratively final on that date. All right. Next, on February 6th of 2007, so I'm not good with math, everybody. We'll just say about 7 years, all right? Oh my goodness. Was convicted in the 11th Judicial Circuit of, another batch of violations and kidnapping. Oh my gosh, sentenced to 15 years. Oh my goodness gracious. So he had all of these felonies, and then he was like ordered to go to Cuba. And then 7 years later, approximately, he did a whole bunch more really bad ones. Lots of highlights today. All right, so it sounds like this is a bad man. All right, so legally, this is what I would say a bad man is. No good. So EAH, not a good person here. Not a good person. And again, he's just giving us the details of their criminal histories. So let's fast forward just a little bit. We've got 2, 3, 4. We'll keep going here. All right, so he's just telling us who the people were. All right, so EAH, no good, bad person. All right, so again, another bad person that the government did not do what they needed to do, and now we have to deal with it because they screwed up their jobs. All right, next up. So we have JMR, citizen of Cuba. So we've got 2 from Cuba now. Here we go. October 10th of 2008, convicted in Florida, arson in the 2nd degree, 15 years of probation. All right, convicted in violation of the statute, sentenced to, well, hold on a second. Was sentenced to 3 years prison. So hold on here. We've got, let's just make sure we got this straight. October 10th of 2008, convicted of arson. November 8th, convicted of trafficking this stuff here that's not good. Yep. I'm trying to not say the words. There we go. And then October 21st, it seems like this fella is making some bad choices. All right. Here, possession of this, a sentence to 4 years. All right, 15 years probation. Oh my goodness. So he was still on probation, so he violated his probation here, got 3 years, but he should have had a probation, a revocation here, so he would have served the rest of his time here. So he got 3 years for that, and then 10 years later, another 4 years. So his first probation would have been done. It's a good question, but I don't think it's going to really matter at this point because of the, that's a good question, actually. Hold on a minute. So he's got 15 years of probation. While he was on probation, he was charged and given 3 years in prison. And that would have just been the sentence for this. We don't know what happened with the probation. All right, we don't know. Here we go. Whoops, next page. Oh, there's more. Sorry, my bad. October 21st of 2020. Convicted also for possession here. 364 days in prison. That just means it's a misdemeanor. If it was 365, it would have been a felony here. So misdemeanor. I'm not spelling that right. You know what I mean? All right, so we'll say 1 year here. January of 2022, convicted again. Whoa, look at this. 1st degree homicide with a weapon. What? Oh, and he got 4 years. Okay. Oh, it was attempted, but you might think, well, it's just attempted, but are inchoate offenses, like our attempts merge into the original intent of the crime. All right. So, everybody follow me on that. So if you're attempting something, your attempt is going to be charged and sentenced the same way as if you had succeeded. All right. 4 years. I guess that must be a Florida thing. Yuck. So there we go. Yeah. Yeah, this is a problem. So, all right. Anytime you see 1st degree, it's never a good situation. All right. So here we go. That's his criminal history. So we don't know what's happened other than, apparently he's now in South Sudan. So again, terrible criminal record. bad person. That's a bad person. If you go by convictions. Now, I'm not going to come in here and be like, well, we don't know if his convictions were valid or not. No, I'm going to say his convictions were valid. I'm not going to come in and say, well, maybe the jury screwed things up. Absolutely not. This is a bad man. This is a very bad man that should be in prison. All right? Prison. And instead, he was shipped to South Sudan without his 7 factors. And now he has to get his 7 factors. So you have to go over there, give him his 7 factors, make sure that it's all taken care of. And then once those 7 factors are done, then go forward again. The amount of time and energy and money spent on this really bad person, right, is not good. It's not good. It's not good. He didn't get life here in Florida. Yeah. Well, I mean, all right. So that's the 2 for Cuba. Let's hit the next one up here. All right, here we go. Personally interviewed TN. So a citizen of Laos. Okay. All right, well, it's not Cuba. 1995. So that was 30 years ago. I'm not saying that it's expunged. I'm just saying he's been in the country for at least 30 years is what I'm saying. When I'm going all the way back, he's been here since 1995. All right. I need to take a drink. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting frustrated with the criminal justice system here. Oh, yeah, Florida needs some help. All right. Convicted here. Oh, this is California. Okay, so we've got, let's make sure, November 13th, and we've got first degree homicide, attempted, and second degree robbery, forcible felony. Sentenced to life. Okay, there we go. He was sentenced to life. Let me guess, he was paroled. Without parole. It says without parole, but let me guess, he was still paroled somehow. All right, life, which is the worst sentence you can possibly get, right? If we don't have a capital punishment on the table. Conviction records, media reporting on his convictions show May 16th of 94, robbed and homicided a 64-year-old German tourist. Great. I mean, that's awful. But we have the conviction up here. What is this? Why are we going backwards? And seriously injured her husband in California on March 2nd of 2018. Okay, so now we're back into the relevant zone here. Oh my gosh, oh my goodness. Was resentenced by the same court to life with the possibility of parole. I told you, everybody, I told you he was somehow going to get paroled. Somehow, this person was going to get paroled. Oh my goodness gracious. This drives me crazy. All right, so he's resentenced. Oh my goodness. I'm seeing spots again. I'm seeing spots. Same court, life with the possibility of parole. Regarding minor offenders. So I guess if you're under 18, I don't know what their minor definition is. All right, so then life with parole. All right, here we go. Oh, goodness gracious. On July 12th of 2023, was ordered removed by an immigration judge. Took you long enough, immigration judge, right? Took you long enough. My goodness gracious. All right, so bad person. Bad person. How do you get parole with life? Great question. Did you do a welfare check? Oh my gosh. All right. Another bad man. Look at this. Another bad man that the government decided to not bother following the Constitution. When you're dealing with bad people, that's when you need to be extra careful with the Constitution so that it's all done correctly so you can close the door on it and not deal with it again. But instead, no 7 factors, shipped to South Sudan, and now it's a dang mess. Very frustrating. All right, next up, JMG. At least this time we're getting some information on these people again. And I'm not doubting the validity of what is being put into the declaration. Now, if this had to do with what the department did and how people responded, I would have some questions. But this is just regular criminal histories here. All right, JMG. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Exactly. Cosby, Weinstein. Exactly. Like, just do your job. I have personally reviewed, right, native of Mexico. All right, so we've got 2 from Cuba. We've got 1 from Laos. We've got 1 from Mexico. All right, and here we go. January 11th. All right. Ooh, again, another homicide in the 2nd degree. 25 years. All right, that seems about right. We have 25 years here. Okay. So 2nd degree just means there wasn't, typically 2nd degree is anything that's not manslaughter or 1st degree. So 1st degree would be premeditated or some kind of law enforcement officer or some kind of felony while you were homiciding. So our 2nd degree are more those heat of passion kind of cases where it's like the spur of the moment and you were in a place where you just did it. All right. So keep that in mind for a 2nd degree. Still pretty significant, but we're not talking about premeditated. So at least there's that. Oh my gosh. 25 years. June 16th of 2005. Ordered removed. All right. So June 16th of 2005 was ordered removed. So 6 months after conviction. All right. He was identified as and admitted to being a member of a criminal organization. While incarcerated, he incurred multiple disciplinary violations. Some of these violations were related to. So what? Can somebody tell me, okay, anybody out there, somebody, can somebody tell me how it took 20 years? Anybody? Yes, heat of the moment. Heat of passion's like the old school common law phrase that is in our case law. Heat of the moment. Right. No, I don't think that's it, Skellicos. Not enough judges. Well, he was already in prison. This man was already in prison. Anybody, tell me what? He was in prison. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. They walk out the door, never to be seen. Maybe he didn't report. Did he not report to prison? Prison system did not push. Right. Didn't want to give up the money. Right. Could be. Right. But he was convicted. All right. So he was convicted of a pretty serious crime, sentenced to 25 years. So the questions are, well, and the other thing too is, he was in prison because he was apparently even getting worse in prison. He had 20 years of GANG business in prison. What? He called Saul? Oh my gosh. Keeping the beds full. Right. They thought Mexico came and got him. That's interesting. Now, let me just make the statements. And again, I don't really deal in definitive statements. All right. But let me just make the statement. Mexico is never going to come here and get people. That's not going to happen. All right. They're just not going to do that. So if these people are thinking, well, Mexico's come to get him, which I think could absolutely be the case, let me rain on your parade. It's not going to happen. They don't do that. Informant, interesting, possible. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's still inside. Well, he's inside of South Sudan is where he's at now. All right. That's where he's at. That's where he was. I'm kind of feeling bad for South Sudan right now. They're in the middle of a war. They've got their own people displaced, and they have, food, water issues. And now we've got, 5 very bad people running around here. Oh my gosh. Before getting kicked out. Well, right, but he was. He was sentenced to those 25 years 6 months before the judge said he needed to go back to Mexico. He needed to be removed to Mexico. They can't handle these people. That'd be an invasion if Mexico came and got them. That's a good question. That's interesting. We don't know where they're at in Sudan. That's the other problem. We don't know. Like when we were dealing with El Salvador, right? Like if we were to say, well, these people are in the place in the El Salvador, we would still say, well, you dingleberries, you still missed the 7 factors. Go give them the 7 factors and then come back to us. But at least we would know, they were in a facility that's, in South Sudan. We had no idea. We have no idea where they're at. Are they in some kind of a prison or jail, or are they, in the refugee camps? We don't know where they're at. We have no idea. How did Sudan accept these people? We don't have the details. We don't know. What kind of money were they given is another question. And that I can see if a country is like, give us some of your bad people in exchange for, some money when we are in a terrible situation in our own country. I mean, that doesn't seem like a bad idea. Yeah, exactly, Annette. Exactly. And won't know, right, if they get them back here. Much of a functioning government. So that also makes you wonder, without a functioning government, do we have a functioning prison even? Right? Is it even functioning? Especially for someone who's got 20 years experience on the inside. They were stuck with in another country. That could be. They ever published the contract? No, they did not. They're still fighting it, saying that it's privileged. $6,000 per person. They did not get due process. That's the problem. There's a violation of the injunction order. The injunction order was put into place in order to have compliance with the CAT laws that we agreed to in the UN. In order to comply with CAT, and I have a feeling that these people that we've already gone through would probably have failed the 7 questions and would have been okay and would have been, still in South Sudan. But they didn't ask the questions. They didn't do the 7 pieces. And the 7 pieces are required in order to have due process under a treaty we signed with the United Nations. Right, to keep them out if they ever show up again, exactly. But they do have to find a country that will accept them. True. And that's important. But again, the piece of it that's missing here is the person with the clipboard with 7 questions to ask each of these people. And then you go back, run it through the system, and you come back. That's it. 48 hours. 48 hours. All right, it's child's play. There shouldn't have been any reason why these law enforcement people could not have done that. Like, I mean, were they out of pens? Like, what is happening? It's so minimal that it's just absolutely ridiculous that we now have to spend this kind of time and money on the worst of the worst because of these very simple tasks that were refused to be done. Right. And this whole case is about whether or not you can send people to a third country that's not their country that they have their citizenship in. That's what this whole case is about. And you know what? The case isn't resolved. The case hasn't even gone through discovery yet. So until there's an answer by the judge saying, yes, we can send people to a third country, that issue's in dispute. So even being able to go into South Sudan eventually is a question we don't know the answer to. But in the interim, we had a preliminary injunction that said, do your 7 pieces before you start putting people in other countries. And they didn't do it. Right. And that's the thing, is that you can have, all he needed was due process. Due process is what was put in the injunction order. The injunction order didn't say you can't move people to a third country during litigation. The injunction said you have to follow these steps. And if you follow these steps, then you can. That was it. The due process was written into the injunction. That's it. Yeah. Are there any other family members talking? Great question. Don't know. Distraction to mass innocent victims. I don't know. I think they're just trying again. They're like, well, with the first batch, we didn't do it right in a way that the public would be with us. Now let's take these, scumbags or whatever. I hope I don't get dinged on my live here for my language. Let's take these real bad people and, who's going to care about that? I don't care about this bad man. I don't care about him at all. I don't care what happens to him, but I do care that the Constitution wasn't used. Like, that part bothers me, right? That's like what we're supposed to be making sure. Brenda, yes. So if you put that into your search engine, it'll pull it up. I can't say it on the talk. I'll get into some trouble. All right, here we go. Next bad person that the government screwed up on. KM, native and citizen of Burma. So that, again, is the Myanmar, right? Myanmar? I'm sorry. I mean no disrespect to the countries. Next, September 3rd of 2019. So again, that was, a while ago. Convicted in the Iowa District Court for, oh my gosh, for this bad stuff. Cross this out. All right, based on 3-count information. Oh my gosh, I'm just, just a minute, everybody. Trigger warning. Sorry here. Yikes. Okay. Bad man doing bad things. Convicted. No more than 10 years. That sounds about right for a really terrible SA situation. 10 years or less, right? Sounds about right. Is this the way they've been doing it all along and not seen? Great question. There would have been a trail. So my answer to that is I don't think so. No, I don't think so. They wouldn't have had the funding. They wouldn't have had the ability to have this many employees out of this office, ship them, right? They just didn't have the cash. They wouldn't have the money for that. All right. So here we go. That's one. So we got 10 years, or less than 10 years. Next, so September of 2021, so 2 years later, was ordered removed. So that's 2021. So we're only in about 4 years. And he did try to appeal. So March of 2023. Okay, so we've got about two years then. He was sentenced, or he was, supposed to be gone. All right, there you go. He's in South Sudan. Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? Are people just letting, now, oh my gosh. All right, here we go. Backing up the bus. Nobody's saying that immigrants don't commit crimes or that anybody doesn't commit crimes. People are people commit crimes, right? But then the system is supposed to take care of that. Does the system take care of that? Not all the time. Are there problems with the system? Absolutely, yes. Are these incredibly egregious problems demonstrating that people should have been removed from the country? Years ago, yes. They're still entitled to due process. The Constitution still applies. It still applies. Exactly, Sylvia. That's what I'm saying. Give them the 7 factors. Go give them the 7 factors, right? Get them on, do a Facebook Messenger chat because nothing's private anymore. And be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Finish it, file it, wait during your time period that the judge said you need to wait. Be done with it. Locked up and not roaming the streets anywhere. Good question. This is a good question. Appeal was dismissed. Exactly. So the appeal was dismissed. So the final piece of it then would have been March 17th. Yeah. And again, reminding everybody, we're in South Sudan. We don't know where they're at in South Sudan, which has their own problems. Or due process. Oh my goodness. That's what it feels like. Oh, come on. Like, is it really that hard for you to do your job, people? Like, what? And let's back this bus up another minute here, everyone. Since I'm starting to rage, let's back this up again. Okay, this dude here, Mr. Charles, all right, what you been doing? I mean, that guy was in prison for 20 years. What you been doing, Come in here and tell us about their criminal history. Well, you didn't do your job, Mr. Charles. Now look at the mess we have. Do their sentencing, then deal with the immigration. A lot of times they do it at the same time, too. All right, next up, because it just keeps coming. Now, NM and TTP were the 2 named in the plaintiff's actual filing. All right. So they're stuck with... Okay, so they're with ICE, right. But again, I mean, how functional is their government? How functional are any of the resources available to ICE there, right? I mean, that's a good question. Like, you could have, 5 ICE officers with, pitchforks. You know what I'm saying? Which is sometimes how I feel about, I was going to say Scotland, but I need to calm down. All right, we don't know what the resources are. In a country at war, we don't know what the resources are. Here we go. Voluptuous velvet. Oh my gosh, you're cracking me up. That's the funniest thing. That's the funniest thing ever. All right, here we go. Taking some tea here. Give me a second to pull myself together. That's one of my biggest pet peeves is when the government screws up. It drives me crazy. All right, here we go. All right. Okay. NM, native citizen of Burma or Myanmar. Okay. September 20th, 2020. All right. Here we go. Nebraska. It's interesting. We've got all kinds of a mixed bag here. All right, so that's awful, right? Sentenced to 12 to 14 years. Okay, so that was the other Nebraska case. So I guess 12 to 14 must be their sentencing for first-degree assault of this nature. All right. Yeah, oh my gosh. Okay. La, 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 la. Sorry, everybody. Okay, we have another. All right, here we go. Sorry, I haven't pre-proofed this. All right, Bad Man. Again, Bad Man. And then August 17th, 2023, ordered removed. And again, what year is this? Well, it's 2025. Yep. Mm-hmm. Ordered removed. And this is what year it is now, right? I tried to warn you. I know. We'll get through it. Let me just hold on a second. Let me just make sure real quick. Let me just peek here. Let me peek off record. Okay, we're done. So that'll be all right. We'll make it through. This is the last one. TTP. Oh my gosh, everybody, this is just awful. I'd like to make a complaint. I like to make a complaint here. So if you're wondering what record I'm using, this is the case number here. All right, you can pull that up, and then the document I'm going through right now is 124-1 here. All right. Oh, the rest is okay. Thanks. I appreciate that. Here we go. Native and citizen of Vietnam. All right, Vietnam. And January 12th of 2001. Here we go. First degree homicide here. For some reason, the M word triggers the algorithm, but the H word seems to be okay. So 264 months. It's not a whole year. Actually, may have gotten time served, quite frankly. Right. All right. So then January 12th, convicted also of assault in the second degree. 50 months. All right, that's a pretty light sentence. Ordered removed to Vietnam in 2009. So, oh my gosh, are you freaking kidding me? Okay. So oh my gosh, if he got time served on this, everybody, if they went concurrent, time served, because he was probably in jail during the trial and all of that stuff. All right, time served. So, and let's just say he even served that time. So by 2002, he would have been out. And if he's out by 2002, June 17th of 2009, the determination's made to send him to Vietnam. What? Like, what? It was months, not days. Okay. Sorry. But still, I mean, 264 divided by, help me out, everybody, 12 months. Oh, my math, everyone. Math, it's so hard. Oh my gosh. The last time this happened, I had to go get a, oh my gosh, okay, I had to go get my kitten in order to make myself feel better. All right, so 22. All right. Yeah, 22. Okay, thank you so much. All right. Still. Let's scratch out my embarrassment here. So it looks like, yeah, around 20, we'll just say, 22 years. But it still took 8 years. And again, if you're sentenced to 22 years, what's a third of 22, right? Because that's usually what is actually served. Yeah, it's still a lot. It's just 7 factoring. I can't do it, man. I can't. That's why I became a lawyer, because I can't math. And I can't science. So usually, thank you. Do crazy. So 7 years. All right. So with an A, 7 years is possible. He would have been out in 7 years. It's possible. We don't know. Again, before that 2009 date. All right, so it's possible. We don't know. Do crazy. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right, 24 years. Right. So we're still fumbling around in this situation. And this was an actual homicide. Yeah, I see where, there we go. So we have a homicide there, and then we have assault in the second degree here. The 7 factors. All right, everybody. So this is the other person named here in the petition. All right, so this is what Mr. Charles is saying. Look at all of these terrible people and their criminal records, is what he's saying. All right, that's what he's saying. And he's right. He's right, everyone. Let's make sure we know how many people that he's talking about here. We've got TN, because again, having this information is amazing. JMG, because they're not giving us information on any of the others, probably because they didn't have any. JMR here, and EAH again. NM, and TTP. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got 7 people. So these are all the people, and they're awful bad people. If you base being a good person off of not breaking the law. All right. So let me clarify. 7 people, bad crimes. 7 people, no due process. Violation of the preliminary injunction. And again, just to remind everybody about the preliminary injunction that this judge put in place. The judge didn't say you can't remove people to third countries, even though that's what this whole case is about. The judge said, in order to remove them, you need to complete 7 factors. All right, so seven factors. If you do 1 through 7, which involves questions and, thinking, then do what you're going to do. And the reason we have these factors is because of an agreement that we have with the United Nations under the CAT or the CAT law. So in order to be in compliance with the law, we had to have these 7 factors. These 7 factors are due process. All right? So that's what's happening here. They're proving their own incompetence. I agree. Right, I agree. So the current status of this case, everyone, just to remind you, is that the judge has issued another order telling the government you need to go to where they are and give them their 7 factors and then process it in order to cure your violation of the court order. And you have a certain number of time. I think he gave them like 7 days in order to do that. So we're a couple of days in. So at this point, we're waiting for them to come back with information. Now, if they do their job, they can have the people ask the questions with the clipboard, get it sorted out, and then get an attorney of record to file that it's been sorted out, and they're done. Then they're done, and they will have had the due process. The due process will have been had. That's it. That's all you need to do. But are they going to do it? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Were they all from the same jail? And that I don't know, other than from the original plaintiff's filing where they set out where they were in Texas. So they were in Texas together. That's where we had that first information, that email from the significant other of one of them. All right. Forgive me, the letters, I don't know which set of letters, so I don't remember which person, but their significant other got an email saying this person was going to be moved to Africa. And then the issue became, was it South Africa? And they're like, no, we're not doing that. And then it became South Sudan. And that's when they got notice. That's when the plaintiff's attorneys got notice, and then the people that were included. All right. So that's my understanding. Choxel v. Granville. Not off the top of my head. Before, just taken to Texas before the flight. Oh my gosh. All right. Yeah, so let me just double check here. Look, I've got it here in front of me. I'm just shooting from the hip, so to speak here. But let me just grab my file. Here we go. Goodness gracious. Here we go. Let's just look here and see. Let's confirm. Right, we got the receipts. Let's look at the receipts. Let's look at that. 5/9, so we need more up to date. 5/22 here. Declaration there. Exhibits here. Here we go. Maintain custody and control. Let's see. Did he put it in his order? No. Right. Well, this is page 9. Hold on here, everybody. Let me double check. I need a paralegal. I need somebody. I need an intern. Where'd the interns go? School's out. We're not interning right now. Fair enough. Fine. Defendants, opposition. All right, so here's plaintiffs then. Plaintiffs. Emergency motion. Let's go to the very front part here. Plaintiffs seek emergency right prior to right. Information denied right. Although blah 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 blah. Oh, right. Okay, so detention center removed from there. Let's see, 15-day opportunity. Let's see. Okay, he received a final order of removal from Omaha, Nebraska, August of 2023. May 17th, immigration attorneys received the notification he had been transferred to the Port Isabel Detention Center. All right, so it looks like they were transferred then over, well, this guy was at least, to that detention center. Yeah, they contact, and then they still screwed it up. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So that was happening. Now, as a quick side note, everyone, as we went through and we can rage out, I also found what they are trying to use as their due process elements for the Alien Enemies Act. So they put together, the government, this guide of questions. And this form itself has become a question about whether or not this is okay, permitted, rises to the level of the due process needed for an Alien Enemies Act violation. So we take a look at this. They go through and give us our factors. So number one is the person and their file. Number here is the person 14 years or older as required by the statute. Person named is not a citizen or lawful permanent resident. The person named above is a citizen of Venezuela. So that's telling. Those are the three pieces set out in the executive order for justifications. If any of these three requirements are not satisfied, the person named above shall not be ordered removed under the Act. In such a case, you should consult your supervisor in the Office of Principal Legal Advisor, U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement, where applicable, initiate removal proceedings under the Immigration and Nationality Act. All right, so you can still go forward, you just can't go forward under the AEA, is what they're saying on the form here. The person named above is validated as a member of this group. That's interesting. As determined by reference to the following evaluation form. All right. Instructions. Complete the following validation evaluation form for each suspected alien targeted for removal under the AEA or following apprehension for each alien potentially subject to AEA removal. So let's see here what we have. Let me just, well, I mean, it says what it is right here, so I should be okay, right? Validated, exactly. Yes, specifically Venezuela, because the argument is if they're part of this gang, part of this group is an arm of Venezuela, which makes them part of a government trying to do bad things over here that allows the use of the AEA. After accounting for the two comments below, aliens scoring 8 points and higher are validated as members of the group. You should proceed with issuing Form AEA-21B titled Notice and Warrant of Apprehension and Removal under the Alien Enemies Act. Aliens scoring 6 or 7 points may be validated as members of TDA. You should consult with a supervisor and OPLA reviewing the totality of the facts before making that determination. If you determine an alien should not be validated at this time as a member, when available, you should initiate removal proceedings under the INA. Aliens scoring 5 points or less should not be validated at this time as a member of the group. When available, you should initiate removal proceedings under the INA. And then footnote 1 down here. Right. A tally of 5 points or less, or any decision to initiate INA removal proceedings, is not a finding that an alien is not an alien enemy. Like double negatives? Dude, who wrote this? Relatedly, at any time, additional information may come to light that gives reason to revisit a prior decision to forego an AEA removal. Here's comment number 1. Even if 8 points are higher, if all tallied points for an alien are from the symbolism and or association categories with no points scoring in any other category, consult your supervisor and OPLA before determining whether to validate the alien as a member of the bad group and proceed with an AEA removal or initiate INA removal proceedings. Okay. Here we go. Let's take a look then. Marco Polo was involved. All right, comment 2. For purposes of validating an alien as a member of this group, at least one scoring category must involve conduct occurring or information received within the past 5 years. All right, so we've got 5 years involved. Number 1 category, judicial outcome and official documents. So subject has been convicted of violating Title 18 of the U.S. Code, Section 521, or any other federal or state law criminalizing or imposing civil penalties for activity related to the group. Court records identifying the subject as a member. That's good. I mean, this is actually very helpful. This is what they're setting out as, what evidence they're looking for. So this is helpful. Describing specific activity here. A subject self-identifies as a member or associate of the group verbally or in writing to law enforcement officer, even if that self-identification to law enforcement officer is unwitting through lawful interception of communications. So this one's questionable. All right, we're self-identifying. Right, self-identifying here. Could be. Right. So that's the court category here. The second is a self-admission. The third is criminal conduct and information. So subject participates in criminal activity with other members of the group, including preparatory meetings and significant incidents directly attributed to the group. B, law enforcement or intelligence reporting identifies subject as a member of TDA to include Bureau of Prisons, validations, and reliable foreign partner information. Credible testimony statements from victims, community members, or informants that affirm the subject's membership or allegiance to the group. A detailed open source media. So newspapers, investigative journalism reports that describe arrest, prosecution, or operations of a subject as a member of the group. I don't know with the media these days. Subject conducts or facilitates business with the group. All right. Documents and communications, number 4. Yeah, we heard about them. Exactly. We heard you were talking to these people. Written or electronic communications that discuss business with and or are communicating with known members of the group. Cell phone data contains multiple group, organizational, or organization leaders or members' information. Subject conducts phone calls about business of the group with known members. Financial transactions indicating criminal activity for the group or with known members. Subject possesses written rules, constitution. What? There's a constitution? Membership certificates, bylaws, etc., indicating together with other conduct membership of or allegiance to. Does this group have a constitution and bylaws? What? This is new news to me. I haven't done a lot of research on this group here, but this is interesting now. I'm like, ooh, rules. Can I see those rules? What's in the rules? Right, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to have to look that up. All right, and then lastly, the subject symbolism issue here. Right, they're not a centrally organized group. Exactly. Like, and that's been what's been reported from the people that investigate that stuff. All right, here we go. Subject has tattoos denoting membership or loyalty. That's it. That's 4 points. If you have a tattoo that they think shows loyalty, there's 4 points already. Remember, if you're 5 or above, you're in the zone. All right. Social media posts by the subject displaying symbols of that or depicting activity with other known members. So media posts with symbols. Media posts with the symbols. That's 2 points. That's 6. You're at 6 points now. Observe tagging or graffitiing to mark the territory of and the subject's allegiance. Like, how would they know exactly? I mean, is there a specific, there must be some kind of symbol or something in order to set the boundaries. I don't know. That's questionable. I observe. So you've got to actually see them doing that. That's another 2 points. There you go. You're done. You're done. You're getting charged. Subject observed displaying hand signs. That's 2 points. Subject displays insignia, logos, notations, drawings, or dress known to indicate allegiance to the group as observed by law enforcement in person or via virtual mediums. All right. I guess that was the bull's hat, right? So hand signals and then displaying. And that's 2 and that's 4 and you're done now. And you're out. Yeah, nobody sees them tagging. I know. Like, what are you doing? Walking around? It's 11:30. There's a donut shop. Let's go do some gang tag. Like, what are you talking about? That's crazy talk. Oh my gosh. Right. Sorry, exactly. Yeah, over the socials. Yeah, I had neither. And, oh, I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. I missed the last category. Shame on me. Here we go. In association. My bad. Surveillance documentation. A subject is frequently observed closely associating with known leaders and members. Subject part of a group photo with 2 or more known members. Like, is that what they do? I mean, quite frankly, after the YSL trial, it's true. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes out to social media that people probably shouldn't put on there. So, I don't know. Subject presently resides with known members. All right. So there you go. All right. Validation determination. If any of the 4 requirements are not satisfied, do not complete the validation. Again, those first pieces. 14, not a citizen of Venezuela, member of the group. And then it gets signed. And then, there we go, photograph and so on. And then it looks like we've got a notice of and warrant of apprehension and removal. So again, these are, and I've already done a post on whether or not a warrant is required for an arrest, and that's different than a warrant for search. So it's, we have different levels for warrants. Warrant of apprehension and removal to the authorized law enforcement officer, the president. What? The president's found that the group is perpetrating, attempting, or threatening an invasion or a predatory incursion against the territory of the United States, and that the group members are thus alien enemies removable under Title 50, U.S. Code Section 21. Oh my gosh. All right, then that person has been determined to be 1, at least 14, 2, not a citizen, 3, a citizen of Venezuela, 4, a member of the group. Accordingly, he or she's been determined to be an alien enemy, and under Title 50 of the United States Code, he or she shall immediately be apprehended, restrained, and removed from the United States pursuant to this warrant of apprehension and removal. Oh my gosh. What? And then notice to the alien enemy. All right, so this is what they tell you. I am a law enforcement officer authorized to apprehend, restrain, and remove alien enemies. You have been determined to be... Is anybody else hearing like a robotic sound as I go through this? It's like just like RoboCop or whatever, like walking up and being like, you've been determined to be, an enemy. Like, what? All right. I've determined you're 14 years of age, not a citizen or lawful permanent resident, citizen of Venezuela, and a member of this group. Accordingly, you've been determined to be an alien enemy, subject to apprehension, restraint, and removal from the United States. You are not entitled to a hearing, appeal, or judicial review of this notice and warrant of apprehension and removal. What? Let's hold up. Let's back this one up. You are not entitled to a hearing, appeal, or judicial review of this notice and warrant of apprehension. So I think this is a little bit misleading. Here, they're just saying this piece of paper. Now, whether or not the code can be used, whether that piece of the proclamation can be used, that's a question. But they're saying this sheet that's being filled out can't be. So that would definitely be confusing to anybody. Until you're removed from the United States, you remain detained under Title 40 of the U.S. Code, Section 21. Any statements you make now or while you are in custody may be used against you in any administrative or criminal proceeding. That's Miranda right there. So good for you. This is not a removal under the Immigration and Nationality Act. So that distinction is very important as well. So after being removed from the United States, you must request and obtain permission from the Secretary of Homeland Security to enter or attempt to enter the United States at any time. So you have to, oh my gosh, should you enter or attempt to enter the U.S. without receiving such permission, you will be subject to immediate removal, may be subject to criminal prosecution and imprisonment. So now our DHS secretary has an enormous amount of power based off of this. Yeah, that's what they're going to try to show as due process. Yeah. Right. So I'm reading right now, I'm going through the form that the government's put together that they're going to either are or going to be using for any of the Alien Enemy Act people. Yeah. Yep. So there's that. All right, everybody. So I think I'll go ahead. At this point, we've been through a lot. We've gone through the full spectrum, all of the feelings, and discussed about this. This was our quick update on the DVD case, where they have filed declarations basically setting out some pretty awful criminal records of these 7 people. Pretty awful. And then again, I would say to that, the government really screwed this up. There was a preliminary injunction. Preliminary injunction had 7 steps in it. If the government had followed those 7 steps, which were basically questions on a clipboard, and then you run it through a process and you have a waiting period, there wouldn't be a problem. But they didn't. And so when they didn't do that, that's a due process violation. The reason that they're even in the injunction is because of the requirements under the CAT laws that have been agreed to, that we signed on to with the UN. All right. So we got to comply with that because we said we would. Yeah. Prove what? Prove what? I thought there was an injunction on the AEA. So there's the injunctions are kind of weird, but I was just showing you the form. This isn't an AEA situation. The DVD case that I've been talking about is not an AEA situation. This is an injunction situation. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Right. Yes. You got it, Marquet. Yeah, you got it. So this, again, we're talking about a violation. And the judge already said you have you violated the preliminary injunction. So what the judge has done now is said, go cure it. Go fix your mistake. And if you fix it, we'll be okay. We'll keep going forward on this. But if you don't fix it, you're going to be in trouble. Yeah, I mean, they've been trying the whole time. To shut injunctions down. And, every single injunction that's been issued on these 250 cases, there has not been an issue on all of the cases But on the ones that have had injunctions, the government has appealed. That's why we have so many appeals going right now. Yeah, I know. Exactly. So that's the update, everyone. Again, this was just kind of a last minute, thought I would hop on and let everybody know a little bit about the filings for this case. I still have lots of information coming in on the Harvard situation, the student visa situation. So I'll be posting about that as time goes on. So thank you all for coming and hanging out with me. I will have this up on my Tube of You channel within the next couple of days. I'm a little bit behind on my big filings, but or my big postings, but I'll do my best. So take care, everybody. I will catch up with you all later. See you all very soon.